Hello, my name is Louisa Earth Angel, and this is The Spirit Chair. Today I will be chatting with Alan. Alan is a shaman and extremely gifted. Throughout all the episodes, we will be chatting spirit, what spirit means to you, how spirit helps you. Welcome, Alan.
Thank you, Lynn.
I'm actually very excited the fact that you sat opposite me at the moment. I actually feel like I've had a spiritual nudge already.
You know, it's always great fun when we sit together and we connect. And your energy itself is so uplifting, and I think we bounce off each other.
Where did it all start for you? And when I say where it all started, when did you start to feel spirit? When did you start to feel different maybe from the kids in the class? Or you had an awakening? Do you know, all these things in the mix to make a cake. How did Alan stand in the gifted energy?
I love it. I've always been connected with spirit from an early age, and it's just something that I grew up with. Like most children will have invisible friends. It's quite a common thing that you say, invisible friends. For me, my invisible friends, if you like, were spirit. So they were more prominent, more tangible. Is that the word for it?
So when you say an invisible friend, is that through a dream? Is it through a vision? Is it somebody who said, look over there, or how do you feel?
Literally, as children, per imagination, we put things when we look at children, especially, we judge with our ego and the logical mind and what we've been taught. That's not real. That can't be real. Children have that innocence with them, so that they see things that we don't. So while they are seeing what's invisible to us, to me at the time, I was seeing spirit. I was seeing people as clearly as I see you. And we'd sit and we'd play and we'd laugh and we'd joke. And that's how things went. My dad's grandmother was extremely gifted and extremely spiritual. So this is where, from my family side, this comes from. She was always talking to spirit. She could predict the weather. She could predict who was going to be at the door, who was going to phone before it happened.
Wow.
So I haven't heard from so-and-so for a while. They're going to phone in 5 minutes and the phone will ring. And that's Fred Bloggs. And lo and behold, that was exactly who she said it was.
So as a child, did you find that help you? Did it hinder you? Did it sort of, keep you in a lonely existence?
I've always been quite content in my own company. In a way, really would be the best way to describe it. But I can occupy myself and I'm quite content with my own little world. I like being around people, and it's still to this day. I like being around people, but I like my time and my space where I can relax. I can be me and do what I want. I connect with spirit. I work with my crystals, my cards. I've become more comfortable with myself and that way with it. My gifts and things disappeared when I hit my teens. I was more focused on other things.
In fact, just let me stop you there. So when you got to be a teenager, did you find as though it left, or did you leave it? Did you leave this force, the spirit, the divine, however you want to label it? Did you leave it?
I think at the time it was more just life. And there's the way that scientifically our brainwaves switch from up to the age of 7, we're able to see spirit and remember things. And they said when we hit 7 years old, our brainwaves switch to that we use now as adults, where we're ruled more by the conscious mind and the logical side of things, which you get indoctrinated with. You go through school, you get told you sit still, you don't fidget, you mustn't talk, you mustn't do this, you mustn't do that. And that's where that creativity and that innocence disappears. For me, life happened. Now, looking back, I honestly don't think our spiritual stuff will ever leave us. I think it's life takes us on our journeys to teach us what we need to learn. And then when the time's right, we come back on our path. As an adult, I've strayed away from my spirituality at times. I'm human. At the end of the day, we're all here on a physical journey. And yeah, at times, we'll go through things that are challenging and that are stressful and that things aren't going how they should be or how we want them to. And we go, do you know what? None of this is working for me. I give up with this and just completely walk away from it. That in itself is part of my journey.
So the teens, you left it and it left you. So what was the awakening? What was the time where you thought, wow, it's come back. This has helped me. It's not somebody physical saying, listen, Alan, I'm helping you. it's the divine, it's something I can't explain. When was that pinnacle point where you sat there, you woke up and thought, it's back, I can chip into it, and it has my back?
For me, it all happened in my early 20s when I had met someone that actually became a very important friend and very important part of my life, my shamanic teacher and friend Moonfeather. And I started off just doing meditation classes with her, the intention of doing the spiritual. It was just more for the relaxation and the peace that comes with meditation. And after doing 6 weeks meditation with her, things started to happen. I started to notice things again, like things moving. I can put something down on a table in one spot and it would move. When I looked at it again, it's in a different spot.
Wow. And what's that called now? There's actually a word for that, isn't there? Is it telekinetics? Yes. So does that move with you forcing it to move with an energy it's moving, or is that moving just because it's saying, hey Alan, I'm spirit and I'm here?
For this, to me it's spirit that move things. I have the same thing with crystals, especially crystal skulls is something that I work with a lot now. I'm going off a tangent from where we were, but there is a relevant thing to this. So crystal skulls and crystals in themselves are alive, so they meet all the requirements by science to be classified as living. They move, they give off energy, they consume energy, they multiply. And the main thing, they move, which is really weird. So I can put a crystal skull on a shelf in a certain direction facing one way, come back to it later, no one has been in it. And I've done this with Stephen, my clear quartz skull I've got here. He'll be facing completely the different direction.
Can I just ask a question about this, going back to crystal skulls? Because, as you know, my mother, Alice, is my spirit guide, and she guides me. When people come to see me at the hub for reading, it's because my mother sat up there with the divine and guided that person to me, be it they find a business card at Manchester Airport, be it someone said, Louisa, and then they come through my door. So I solely work with my mother, Alice. I know she opens a door and she allows me to do what I'm doing. Like today, this podcast, she's instigated this for the people to come into my life. Going back to skulls with you and Stephen, and for people watching this and listening this, how did Stephen come into your life and what does he mean to you?
To me, Stephen is
Look at Stephen.
Sorry, I'll give you Stephen. There you go. Stephen's clear quartz skull. For me, Stephen's very special. He was my first clear quartz skull. Now, skulls are one of those things that you're either interested in or they're completely weird people out and you're like, ooh, no. For me, I was curious. I did a workshop, just meditate with the skulls, connect with them, and then I thought, oh, okay, there's something to this. I looked into it myself and then I ended up buying Stephen. And I work with Stephen for anything spiritual, so he helps me channel messages. He helps ground protect. He helps me a lot when I do my card readings.
Alan, Stephen, you've discussed Stephen and you've touched on the subject, how you bonded with him and how you work with him. For me, I'm looking at Stephen and I can feel the energy. I can really feel the energy in here. Even Teddy can feel the energy. And you know how I always say Teddy's a bit of my psychic dog as well. How do you connect with Stephen? Does he connect with you? Is it a feeling? Is it, I don't know, is it a shiver? Does the room change? How do you connect with Stephen and how do you know he wants to connect with you?
I think with Crystal Skulls, they are here to help us. Their mission of the Crystal Skulls are to help us reach our pinnacle and our golden age of society, which we had last at Atlantis.
Right.
So just to get really deep with the Crystal Skulls.
No, please share.
The Crystal Skulls were originally from Atlantis. When we reached our golden age, everything was perfect. We could manifest things. We had everything that we wanted, everything we could dream of, and it was there instantly. It was very much the golden age. The Crystal Skulls were created at the end of Atlantis. As Atlantis started to sink, there are 13 Crystal Skulls, as the legend says.
Wow.
12 of them, like Stephen, were clear quartz physical skulls.
Right. Alan, I'm not going to put you on the spot. Now, you've said 13. You've got a clear quartz with Stephen. Would you know the other 12?
The other 12, a connection with the energies. All skulls are connected to every other skull in existence. It's a real thing because everything is natural. Everything is from the earth in this way. So the crystals, and we're all connected to Mother Earth. We're connected to every living thing in the same way, the vibrations and energies. So energetically wise, yes, we would easily connect. So with it, the third, funny of saying energy, the 13th skull was one that disappeared at the downfall of Atlantis, is pure energy. And it said that when Atlantis fell and sunk, these skulls disappeared. And over the years, these skulls have been found throughout the world. The Mitchell Hedges crystal skull in the British Museum was said to be the first of these that was found. It's a stunning skull.
So in connection with Stephen, just going back to him, because obviously you brought him today. Have you brought him for support? Have you brought him because you want to give a message? You want to have guidance from him? Why did you feel the need, because I didn't ask you to bring anything, why did you feel the need to bring Stephen?
Stephen very much, as I said, does anything spiritual with me. And especially when I'm sitting, we're doing readings, things, and working with energy. I like to be able to channel and focus clearly with Stephen. He helps me narrow out and filter out background noise, would be the easier way to put it. Because spirit like to talk, and they like to shout, and they like to get your attention. As you yourself know, that they get very excited when there's a door and there's someone that can hear us. It's like, yeah. So Stephen for me helps filter out everything that I don't want to work with at that time.
Right.
So I can work with one voice, one spirit, and I can hear clearly in that way.
So when you have spirit messages, so people come to see you for readings, you use the cards and you channel with Stephen. Do you actually channel like I channel, whereas my mother comes and brings the person to the spirit door? As you know, my mother will open the spirit door and it's always to my right. It's always to my right. And the door opens and that person who sat in front of me or on Zoom, whatever way we're given a message, their loved ones will come through the door and then they'll channel through me. How do you receive that message? Is it from that person, or is it a message about maybe a situation that person's going through? Is it a clarity message?
For me, the way that I connect with spirit and work through things is that I will be given some random information. It may seem random. It may be like a leather jacket. It could be red leather jacket and things. And this helps me, especially if I'm with a group of people.
Yes.
This helps me work who I want to be connected with, who the message is for. And as soon as people, so actually, yeah, that's for me, that's the thing. It makes it so much easier that, right, that's the person I want to work with. This is the energy and who it's for. So this is where Stephen for me comes in, and I filter out all the other bits, and I get more of an in-depth message once I know who I'm dealing with or who I'm.
You see, I'm always fascinated with the tools of spirit. People will have a crystal ball. I have a 4th generation crystal ball. Other people may have a locket, a ring, cards, or they may have that trinket which connects them directly with spirit, or they could just be their own persona, their own energy. For you, I always admire, and I'm listening to you now, the fact that you have so much belief. You're so believing that Stephen is such an entity to you. It's such a connection. You've got Alan, Shaman, and Stephen. And for me, that is, you can't write that. It's not something that you can read in a book. And just going back to it, Alan, the Shaman, how and when did you become a shaman? When did you wake up? Did you wake up one day and say, I'm a shaman? How did this form with you?
For me, I said I met in my 20s someone that became very close and very dear friend, my shamanic teacher, Moonfeather. And she helped me and pushed me and showed me along different things. I brought my first deck of cards, and 2 days later, I'm sitting there with her. She's like, go on then. What do they mean? That instinctively, I've got something brand new. I was like, okay, well, I want to reach for the book. Because I don't know what the cards mean. So no, put the book away. I had a real rabbit in headlights moment with this. Right, what do those cards mean to you? And I said, it's the first time I've seen them. You know, it's like,
yeah,
I haven't got a clue. It's like, well, I know that cards have got a meaning to it, but I haven't learnt. But through this way, I was guided and pushed, and I've got to say, my readings have come a long way from that point of, right, what does it mean to you?
So a shaman, when people say to me, I'm a shaman or I follow the shaman practices, I always think of somebody in the jungle, or somebody in, just somebody very, very far away. do you have that label as being a shaman? Is that your label? Or
For me personally, I don't know labels. I don't like labels. And this is my belief in the way that I work and things, I'm me, and it's my journey, and this is the way that I do things, and it's my spiritual practice. I take pieces from lots of different practices and disciplines, if that's the right word for it. If I like something and it resonates with me, I take it, and the bits that don't quite fit for me, I find from another source, another place, and fill in. Because at the end of the day, we're on our own journeys, and we are here to do our own path.
yeah, Joelle, it's quite interesting because Teddy, I can hear Teddy growling a little bit and he's rumbling, and it's ever since Stephen seems to be more activated. The more we're chatting, the more I feel an energy from Stephen. Are you feeling any energy from Stephen, or is there any messages or anything that you're channeling through? Because for anybody listening to this, they might be at a point in their life and they're thinking, wow, that message is for me. That piece of information is for me. Is it okay for me to ask you to channel with Stephen now?
Let's see what Stephen come up and say for us.
Thank you.
Okay, bear with me a sec. Just going to put Stephen to my third eye. Okay, so doing that helps me to connect. It's the meeting of third eyes, so it's energy exchange and backwards and forwards. The main thing that I'm feeling at the moment that Stephen is giving me is be yourself. Don't follow the crowds. It is a hard thing to do, standing in your own power and going against what everybody else does. It's different, and it's you being you. This takes the great strength, and it is a very powerful person that can stand there and go, I'm me. That's not right. This is what I believe, and this is what I do.
Dear Alan, if this resonates with anybody, we'd like to hear from anybody that this resonates with, and I'm actually sure that people will contact you. Did you hear a voice when you channel with Stephen, or is it an image, or is it words, or is it a feeling?
The easiest way, I think, Stephen gives me all of those things.
Right.
So the beauty of working with the skulls is they will give us as much information as they can in as many forms as they can. Because as human, we only process certain things. We're stronger with certain senses. Psychically, we are all gifted, and we all have our psychic senses, the clair senses, which are those beyonds, whether that's a feeling or you see something at the corner of your eye, or you might hear something, smell something. They're all beyond the normal senses. There's what they call the clair senses. So Stephen, for me, works with all of them because it helps to build up a big, more 3D, more realistic image. Sometimes it's a picture that I'm shown.
You see, Alan, I think when people listen to this and watch this, they might think, is Stephen a comfort blanket? Is Stephen something that you put so much energy into him? Where's Alan? Does Alan get lost? How does he where is he in your life?
Stephen, as I said, literally for me, Stephen just goes, anything spiritual is with me. When I first got Stephen and I was learning about the crystal skulls, he went absolutely everywhere with me for a week. Everywhere I went, Stephen was with me. This helped to bond and connect with the skull and connect our energies. It's also for being able to focus. And after a while, it can be quite a comforting thing to have. But at the same time, Stephen is one of many tools that I work with.
Okay.
I work with cards, I work with pendulums, I work with my own intuition. The other thing that you might have noticed is my pendant necklace.
Actually, I was going to ask about that. That is a gorgeous pendant. Does that hold a story? Does it hold an energy?
Yeah. To me, or the main thing, this is a silver, so a silver necklace. Silver is a protective metal.
Okay.
But the main thing that I like with it is the symbology. So the symbol here, symbols hold a great deal of power. Now, this particular pendant is a replica of one that was found at an archaeological dig in upland Björkö. It's a Viking symbol, believed to be protection. Vikings were big with their connection from their gods, and symbols have power. It's a symbol that as soon as I felt, I got shivers, and I felt really drawn to this. Now, this is with me every day. This only comes off when I'm at home. If I'm out the house, I'm always wearing this, especially when I'm working with spirit. It helps. It's another layer of spiritual protection. As you know, we can work with light. We can work with great ways of protecting ourselves and grounding. But this is something I can carry with me. It's another tool. It's not something that I have to have. It's something that I feel better when I do have it. When I don't have it, my energy feels different. As soon as I put this on, I feel stronger and more grounded, more secure in my own energies.
So if somebody wanted, say, for instance, somebody was at a crossroads in their life and they may need guidance, or, they just needed that influx of, a new energy boost. Why would I come to see you, Alan? What would you be able to help me with in my life? Or somebody who needs, just needs answers?
Yeah, like I say, sometimes that is all we need, is an answer or even another perspective on things. If I can help you to see the same situation that you're in from another point of view, or give you a way of thinking that you haven't thought about, it changes the whole outcome of situations. Because we get so caught up with, we can only see things from our point of view. So sometimes you come to a spiritual person for guidance. Spirit will give us guidance. Cards give us guidance. It's all about your perception. So it's something that you may not have thought of that will suddenly go, oh, yeah, didn't think of that. And then it'll have a profound effect on the outcome. I've worked with cards for readings to help with relationships, career, finances. Sometimes people just need some guidance with, give me a clue what's going on. Where am I supposed to be? And I love it. The cards will always come up with the right message for that person at that time. Sometimes it's not a message that we want to hear, but it's a message we need to hear.
Alan, who fills your cup up? Who do you go to for your spiritual guidance?
For me, very much, I'm very selective with who I share my energy with. So everybody that we meet throughout our lives has an impact on us. Everyone has something to teach us, and everyone has something that we can learn from everyone else. Because we'll walk different journeys, we'll walk different pathways. So we're constantly learning and constantly growing. People have experiences because of different upbringings, different cultures, where they've been, what they've done. And that's something that, what can I learn from this person? And for me, it's a great belief that we constantly learn, we constantly grow. We are here to help each other and to experience everything the physical world has to offer.
In this, during this podcast, and I also want to thank you for being a part of this, I could ask you a million questions. I know that people are listening thinking, wow, ask him this and ask him that, because you are fascinating. I want to touch on now past lives. And I know that with you specialise in past lives as well. And you were the first person to do a past life on me, if you remember that, Alan.
That's an interesting day.
Very interesting, because for me, I've never, ever been under a deep meditation where I've gone to a past life. I've always sort of thought, no, I'm not really, it's not my bag. Stick with spirit, stick with my mother and channel spirit. On that particular day when you did that past life with me, my past life was, if you remember...
Sorry, yeah, spirit shivers now, so we're very much...
Yeah,
spirit are definitely with us.
Yeah, my past life... Have you had a spirit connection now, Alan?
I've just had a real shiver, so let me know that spirit are here.
Okay, fine. If you feel as though you need to give any messages, random, if you feel as though you need to give any names, yes, we're having a chat about your life and your journey. This is part of your life and your journey. And I have felt Teddy's heart now racing very, very quickly. So I also feel it. I think it's more through Stephen energy. I don't feel as though my mother's opened the spirit door for anyone at the moment, but I do feel this is energy from you.
Definitely feel the spirit are with us and they are around. When spiritual people get together, the energies of the place change in itself. And the more that we chat and we're opening up and we're sharing, spirit are all about sharing and helping us to grow. So I'm learning as much as as I am in the way that I'm sharing with you, I'm
Yes.
still learning at the same time because, yeah.
It'd be quite interesting to, when we do watch this back, to see if there's any orbs flying back into.
That'd be fascinating
Because
to see.
I do feel that with you. So if you want to interrupt at any time to give a message, and thank you for sharing that, because I do feel a little bit cooler now. You're very, very welcome. This is your platform, Alan. Going back to past lives, I remember that I was I Salt's wife?
You were Lot's wife.
I was
think.
Lot's
Is that Lot's?
wife.
Yeah, Lot's, yeah.
And the interesting thing about that, my mother always used to recite about Lot's wife. She always used to say to me, always remember, don't look back, because that is not where you're going. Look forward. So when I came out of that past life, I was very much there. I was biblical times. It was a biblical experience for me. And I went through that deep meditation with an open mind, but I came out of it with a connection with my past life. And for my mother to always have recited that to me, never look back. Remember, Lot's wife. And when she looked back, she turned into a pillar of salt.
Wow.
And that pillar of salt, wow. So when I came back and I had all the vision, all the feelings, and I was very grateful to you, Alan, because you took me on a magical, amazing journey. I was there. Your past life regression for me was one of the most phenomenal experiences I've ever had. Hence, you had to be part of this today. You have to be part of the Spirit Chair. For you, how many past lives do you feel you have had, and why do you feel you have had them?
I know I've had at least 5. I know I've had others, but there are 5 that I've discovered through doing regression myself and through working with my own spirit guides. I have had past lives during the Napoleonic Wars, in which I was a soldier guarding a cannon. During this past life, particularly, I was shot. I survived, but I was wounded. Really interesting bit, random. I have a birthmark right where I was shot. Now, they say birthmarks are signs of trauma and injuries from past lives.
Right.
So I have, they're on my lower stomach, my stomach, about the size of a musket ball, which enough where I was shot. So I was like, okay, I've had that past life at this cannon during the Napoleonic Wars. I've travelled through Egypt, Syria. I've travelled across there as a warrior. I've had past lives as Native American warrior. It seems to be an ongoing theme of things. I was a travelling warrior in quite a few of my past lives, which I can see a recurring theme. It does help me be, and explains why I'm stubborn in this way, and I am very stubborn in this lifetime. Once I've made my mind up that I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And if I say I'm not going to do something, no power on this planet is going to change that.
Why do some people remember past lives, or some people just carbosh it and think, I've never had a past life. That's not me. It's not real. How do you feel it's real? What makes you know that you have been in the say it.
The Napoleonic Wars.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. And it all comes down to having to have an open mind with anything that you do. Because if you go into anything spiritual with a closed mind, you think you're already shutting yourself down and predicting that this is what's going to happen because it's not real. But that's human condition again. The ego is the logical side of the human brain, which goes, that can't be real. But prove it. Where is it? How can you make this real? And it's that kind of limits us, and that belief stops us from achieving certain goals, certain things. Past lives, especially if we think, I haven't had a past life, then you're not going to be willing to actually explore the possibility that you have had a past life. I'm getting tongue-tied, which is spirit giving me things. I was like, yep. Okay, yeah, because we've had a past life. If you shut down that idea, I haven't had a past life, okay. It's that whole thing about our minds and that we can shape our reality. Literally, that is it. We create with our minds our reality. So it's the same thing. If you wake up and you're feeling really good and really happy, you have a really good day. If you wake up in the morning and you're really grumpy when you wake up and the alarm's gone off and you don't want to get up, then you're going to set yourself up for a day where you're going to be grumpy, miserable, and the day's going to go. It's the same thing with spiritual beliefs. But I say with things, approach everything with an open mind. Yes, you can be skeptical, but the fact that you are doing something spiritual, we're open to the possibility. And that's all that we ask for with spiritual work, is that you're open to that possibility that actually there is something beyond what we can comprehend.
I also think, Alan, went through my spiritual journey, you always link things. I don't know whether you do that as well. So, for instance, we always link synchronicities. So when my mother used to say, don't look back, when I had a past life regression, I went back to Lot's wife, don't look back. So that took me to that place. So whether that was, I used to think, is that a dormant memory from my mother? And it's linking it. However, that can be. That is a past life. It's linked it because it happened to me, and it's reminding me of do not look back. It's important that we look forward. And as a spiritual person to another spiritual person, when you're open and you're following a journey of, yes, synchronicities, yes, these are nudges from spirit, you actually have more of a fulfilled life. And Definitely. You probably get that yourself, don't you, Alan? You feel as though your cup's overflowing. Sometimes you wake up and you think, wow, gosh, I feel drained. And that's all to do with spirit. Alan, I'm asking all my guests this question when they come to the spirit chair. If I gave you the Louisa Earth Angel magic wand, what would you want to bring in your life? What would you feel as though you would like to have in your life?
I think the thing that I'd like to bring in would be more prosperity. I know where I want to go with my journey. I know where and which direction I want life to take me in. I just need that, make it happen, kind of thing. Sort of working towards goals and things. As I said, you and I have set up the Angel Crystal Cavern together. So that's another step on my journey, which is something that I've always wanted to do, is have a crystal shop and a spiritual shop. And we've done that between us.
And do it, Alan, I'm glad you've mentioned that, because when I first met you, which wasn't long ago, you came up to me and you said to me, I hope you don't mind, I have a spiritual message from your mother. Now, when people do that to me, it just blows me away, and I'm always very open to it. And you gave me a message from a mother, which only my mother would give to somebody like you. It was her words, it was her expression, and I thanked you for that. And I always said to you, Alan, there'll be a time when my mother puts you in an opportunity. And then the opportunity came for the Crystal Cavern. And that Crystal Cavern, when I rang you up and said, Alan, you've got an opportunity there, you can take it, you took it. So I know, Alan, that opportunity has been given to you. And it's not me, it's not about brownie points, it's about you. It's about having that opportunity and bringing our energy in with it together. We have a beautiful energy. So, Alan, about you as well, Alan the shaman, who doesn't like the label, but you are. Alan, who works with Stephen. There's so many things that you're about. And I love your energy. I love what you do. I just love you as a person. And there's so many spiritual people. You have the spiritual people who sit on a beach in Bali, who are connected to nature, people who are connected to the universe, manifesting the divine spirit, whatever word or label. For me, it's spiritual.
Definitely.
And it's a spiritual connection.
Definitely. I totally agree with that one.
Now, for you as a person, where do you see yourself with your spiritual journey? Say in 5 years' time, where do you feel you'd like spirit to put you and to guide you towards?
That's a tough question, because my spiritual thing, I'm interested in all sort of things, on all aspects of spirituality. As I look at dabble in different bits, pendulums, I'd like to look at palmistry, would be something that I'd like to learn. I've looked at bits and pieces before. It's like, okay, always fascinated me. But there's just so much to explore, and there's so much out there that, what can I gain from this? What's it going to teach me? How am I going to grow? For a simple question, it's a very difficult question.
Yes.
That you asked there.
Actually, when you say palmistry as well, now palmistry in our household was always on a Saturday afternoon, the grands, the great grands, the aunties sit there, and my mother would read palms. It was a traditional thing. Saturday afternoon, the men would go to the rugby, the men would go out, and the women would read palms. I was only little at this stage. So it's sort of in my DNA. It's in the thread of my beliefs. As you know, palmistry, crystal ball and tea leaves. I love the old school mystics. And the old school mystics have been around forever. And the reason why they've always stayed and stood the test of time is because they deliver the energy of what people need. They deliver facts. They deliver the stories of years back, but they still matter today. For you, Alan, this session today here, I'm actually enthralled. I'm so excited chatting to you. And what I'm feeling, and I do need to say it, I'm feeling spirit. Is there anything that you're channeling at the moment or Stephen's saying to you? I know I've asked this previously, but I feel as though your hairs on your arms and Teddy, I'm getting a little bit of a shiver as well. So it's something here.
I think we are raising our vibrations. We're chatting and we're sharing. And as I say, spirit love positivity. And if we work with spirit, we have to raise our vibrations, which means our energy goes up. Our mood lifts as well because we're lighter. Spirit work on a much more energetic level and much higher vibration where they don't have doubts. They don't have that ego holding them back. So I want this and I want that, but this isn't real because this can't be. So very much, I think spirit like to let us know, and we feel more connected the happier we are.
So in this environment, Alan, do you feel as though this environment is a positive environment? Do you feel as though this environment will deliver abundance, deliver to the masses? How are you feeling sat in this environment, surrounded by my mother, my spirit guides, little trinkets and bits and pieces?
It's a very calming energy here, and it is very easy to be centered and remember where we come from and connecting with the earth and the universe at the same time. So for me, I find it a beautiful mix of all those energies as I work with both star beings, the universe, and the earth plane energies, and our loved ones in spirit. It's a great combination, and it's that mix of all blending together when you're with like-minded people as well, that you can talk about this and it just flows. Spirit love that. Spirit will help us with this. So it's easier to connect. And sorry, just a name. I think this is for you, Lou. I'm getting the name Dorothy.
Well, can I just say, which you don't know about me, Alan, when I was 11, I played the lion in The Wizard of Oz. So in my scrapbook, I have a lot of pictures of the lion in The Wizard of Oz. I'm also a Leo, which you didn't know that either. No. So Dorothy was a part I played as well. When I went to college, I played Dorothy as well. But the lion to me is my connection with strength, my connection with protection and guidance for so many people. So I'm going to take Dorothy. Thank you for that, because that reminds me of my mother. Very much her favourite film was The Wizard of Oz. So all these links, they link up, and it gives me a sense of knowing, connection and spiritual connection with my mother. So thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. I love it. There's no such thing as coincidence. Everything happens for a reason, and synchronicities, you don't come across something by chance. It's a message. That's numbers, music, flowers, seeing the same, even something as simple as seeing the same car or the same colour car on a journey. There's a message for us there. I'm a great believer that there is no such thing as coincidence.
Alan, manifesting. I'm a great believer in manifesting. This has been manifested, this amazing podcast. How do you see manifesting? How do you manifest?
Manifesting is fantastic, and it is a vital part of our being. As I said, touched on earlier about our mindset and how we wake up and how we start a day. Our thoughts will shape our reality. That is manifestation we create with our mind. So for me personally, I have an affirmation each day of what I want to achieve. I'll say that 3 times clearly, and I may say it throughout the day in my head. That for me, I also work with crystals for the same thing, like lapis lazuli and sodalite, especially for manifestation. Put your intention to the crystals, what you want to achieve, and trust the universe delivers.
So for the people listening to this podcast and watching, and they want to start to manifest. Say they want that car, they want that house. They may just want the keys to a small little boat. And I'm saying a small little boat, but you can manifest them any size. They could just even want that new job, which is massive, a change of career. So how can somebody manifest a job, manifest a house, a flat, or manifest that relationship as well? I need to touch on that. What steps do they need to do to bring their dream and their want to a reality?
For me, it's all about seeing yourself already in that position with the things that you want to manifest and you want to bring in your life. So if you want a certain job, see yourself in your mind's eye already in that job. You want to be the CEO of a big multinational company making millions. See yourself in that office, see yourself in that suit, in that chair, doing the job.
I agree with that, because I remember just before lockdown, I wanted a white Land Rover, a white Range Rover I wanted. So desperate for it. And I went to test drive it. The man said, "Oh, how are you buying it?" "Oh, I don't know." When are you having it?" And I got that white Range Rover. I drove past the house, which I'm living in now. I wanted a house, semi-rural, a nice big garden. I can put a bell tent. I drove past it and it said to let. I was sat outside that house. I knew, because of my vision, my feeling, and I was vibrating on the level of belief, knowing that, yes, the divine helps me as well. I knew that that house, within 3 months, the keys will be in my hand and I'd be opening that door. So manifestation, for anybody watching this or listening, put it out there. Get a vision board. A vision board can be an old-fashioned notice board in your kitchen. Write it down. Words that remind you of what you want. And it's not about what you want. It's the universe delivering what you need. What you need. There's a difference between want and need, I always say.
Definitely. The universe will always give you what you need.
100%.
9 times out of 10, it may not be what you want, but it is what you need at that moment. This is like when you apply for that job, but you don't get it. The universe has something better in mind for you. There is another job coming along. I've had this thing where I've applied for jobs. It's really slow. I've got an interview for one.
Yeah.
And then you come away with being offered 3 different jobs at different companies on the same day. It's like, ooh.
So, Alan, we say to the listening audience, affirmations, vision boards, writing it down on a piece of paper and also discussing it. Find a friend or somebody in the family and you just say to them, "I'm having a conversation with you and it's going to be a year in advance. And they'll say, "Sorry," but say it's going to be a year in advance, and you discuss it with them and you say, "This is what I'm doing. I'm in that job. I'm waking up and doing it." And even though it hasn't happened, you're telling your mind, you're telling the universe that I am accepting of this. This is what is for me. This is what is coming my way, and I'm grateful. Gratitude is massive.
Yes.
We have to be grateful. Once we are grateful, everything starts to come our way. I am proof in the pudding. From driving in a car up and down the M62 to give readings, to now having a spiritual hub, to now being privileged to have guests like you, Alan, here at the Spirit Chair podcast, is me. This is all about gratitude, and it's all about believing and knowing that when you put it out there to the universe and you vibrate at a level of accepting, and I'm actually quite emotional about it now, because I can feel emotional purely because, Alan, I know that this has happened to me because it's meant to happen to me, to give people a voice and to give spirit a voice. Above all, spirit does not have to be quiet. Spirit does not have to stand in the corner. It's not about the shadows of spirit. It's about knocking on that door and helping people, to give messages, guidance, and to give light where there's sometimes often darkness. So to me, this is my dream, but it's also more so it's a reality. So if this is my reality, it can be so many people's reality.
Definitely. Follow your dreams, set your sights high. The only limits that exist are those we place on ourselves. Now, there was a study done quite a few years ago with fleas. All right, I know, not the pleasant thing, but bear with me. It's going, don't matter, it's relevant. They put fleas in a glass jar, and lo and behold, the fleas jumped clean out of the jar, quite high above the jar. And they did this every day for a week, same result. After a week, they put a lid on the jar, and the fleas jumped Suddenly they hit the lid. And this stayed on there for a week. And they kept jumping. They kept hitting the lid. Another week later, they took the lid off the jar. The fleas still only jumped to where they perceived the lid to be. The fact that they could have jumped clean out the jar, and they can do it because they were doing it beforehand, they believe they can't do it because they believe that's the limit, when in reality, that was the limit. So it's the same things apply to people. If we limit ourselves when we think we can't do something, we can't do it. Does that sound that if you believe you can do something or you believe you can't do something, you're right? It's all to do with your mindset.
Alan, I think that is a great way to end this particular podcast, and there's going to be many. I've really enjoyed your energy today. Thank you for bringing Stephen. And when you believe, we always receive.
Thank you for having us, Lou.
Thank you. What can I say apart from thank you for watching?